Hello, I'm Ranjana and my team members Teshavaani, Yaseerah, Deesha, and Dhunnoo. So the company that we have chosen for our assignment is Mitsubishi Electric Group, and an audit for the security system at the company would be conducted. And we are going to see how we can solve the problems of the company that are occurring and how to make it better. Now I pass on to my friend Deesha, who's going to talk about the profile of the organization.
Thank you, Ranjana. Mitsubishi Electric Group is a Japanese multinational electronic company, one of the world's leading names in the manufacture and sales of electronic devices and systems. Take a look at the diagram. You can see when it was founded, the headquarters, the revenue, and the number of employees. Now, my friend Yaseerah will talk on organizational culture.
Thank you, Deesha. The company has an organizational culture which consists of the following values: trust, quality, technology, ethics and compliance, humanity, environment, and society. Now we pass on to Ranjana.
So I'm Ranjana, and organizational environment is described as a number of characteristics which explain organization and recognize it in different organization during a given time duration. So we have internal environment, external environment, consisting of general environment and industry environment. And now I'll pass on to my friend Deesha, and Deesha who's going to talk about the whole business function.
Here are the 12 core business functions. I'll be talking on the first 6 functions, and the remaining will be presented by my friend Teshavaani. For the building system, it provides efficient control and management. For the factory automation system, it supports a wide range of automation technology. For the public system, it improves quality of living by creating solutions for the society. It develops new energy businesses and power infrastructure. For the fifth one, transportation system, it provides a wide range of equipment for the rolling stock. And sixth, for the automotive equipment, it contributes to the advancement in motorization.
Thank you, Deesha. The remaining 6 core business functions are namely space system, which contributes to advancement in motorization, information and communication system for easy communication, power device to offer high performance, air conditioning system for energy efficiency, supply of home electronic products, and lastly, providing IT solutions. Moving on to the next slide, there are 5 main departments in the Mitsubishi company, namely procurement, which is responsible for proper purchasing controls, sales and marketing department responsible for sales, the HR department responsible in maintaining productivity, IT department which cater for the system effectiveness, and lastly the accounting department which is responsible for efficient financial management and controls. I now pass on to Dhunnoo.
So for the top 5 risks we have identified: social risk, physical risk, compliance risk, technology risk, financial risk. These are sorted by the least to the most. These are sorted in ascending order, starting from the least important to the most important. Starting with the least important risk, social risk. It includes social engineering. Social engineering is the art of manipulating people into giving out information that shouldn't be revealed. Some examples are phishing, baiting, honey traps, and also Nigerian prince advance fee scam. Some controls can be implemented to combat those. Mitsubishi Electronic Group can provide training and awareness programs, such as social engineering awareness and simulation can also be held to educate the employees about different techniques perpetrated. Also, they can use strong and complex passwords and if possible to use two-factor authentication. Use a secure connection with an SSL certificate to access email. Lastly, to have the HTML in the email client disabled. This will stop code in emails you received from being executed. Now we will move on to solutions. Employee alertness can be a vital control against social engineering, making this one of the most important security awareness topics. Warming sign and physical access control should indicate clearly that unauthorized access to corporate facilities is forbidden. Logical access control on the network and system should make it difficult or even impossible for employees to install executable software or to gain access to sensitive data area beyond their requirement. Example, role-based access control. Antivirus control can significantly reduce the risk of malware such as Trojan horse program, including keyboard loggers and viruses. Controls to prevent dumpster diving, that is the searching or trash for useful information. Confidential waste bin should be locked and preferably secured to the office.
Thank you. The physical risks are divided into 3 categories. Firstly, we have external risks which are due to weather. Moreover, we have internal risks which includes power failures, humidity or explosions. Finally, we have human risks where competitors or outsiders may steal or damage valuable assets. Moving on, the solutions for physical risks are the use of smoke detectors, fire alarms, extinguishers, and water detection systems, the use of generators in case of power failures, and air conditioning systems to reduce humidity. use of CCTV surveillance, security guards, protective barriers, locks, access control, and perimeter intrusion detection so as to prevent unauthorized access to the building. The controls to physical risk are entry-exit access control. This is used to limit and control who has access to enter sites. It ensures that only authorized persons can have access. It is implemented by using ID card-based authentication systems. Environmental controls. Fire, humidity, temperature, and smoke control systems should be put in place so as to provide monitoring capabilities and automated activity, including alarms, fire suppression, and alerts. Now I will pass on to Deesha.
Thank you, Yaseerah. Compliance risk is the organization's potential exposure to legal penalties, material loss resulting from its failure to act in accordance with company laws, regulations, and internal policies. Here are the three compliance risks: risk of bribery, risk of theft in process of export, and risk of accepting illegal transactions. So for the above compliance risk, we have the three solutions: update anti-bribery policies, maintain export control, and thirdly, dissociation with antisocial groups. For compliance risk control, we have internal control. Internal control are used to minimize risk, protect assets, ensure accuracy of record, and so on. Here is a 5-step process to follow when developing and implementing effective internal control. In the diagram, as you can see, we have control environment, risk assessment, control activities, information and communication, and monitoring of activities. Now my friend Teshavaani will talk on technology risk.
Thank you, Deesha. Technology risks such as cyber attacks, password theft, and service outage arises when cybersecurity measures are lacking, such as relying on antivirus as a single security layer, failing to encrypt data, and of inadequate cybersecurity policy. Moving on to technology risk solution. Some of the cyber attack countermeasures are namely practice of handling spoofed mail, multi-layer defense consisting of 3 layers of technological measures such as internet gateway security, endpoint and information protection. And thirdly, computer security incident response teams to monitor the cyber attack and respond quickly to any incident that occur. And lastly, proper management of internet website by launching websites that are approved in order to maintain a high security level. Moving on to technology risk control. An effective technology risk management strategy is required to anticipate potential problems by proactively managing risk through a combination of IS measures and implementing a PDCA framework for continuous improvement. I now pass on to Ranjana.
Financial risk is the probability of losing cash in and then investment or a business that can occur in the company or Mitsubishi. So it is caused because market of development can incorporate a large group of components. So we have market risk, credit risk, liquidity risk, operational risk. Financial risk solution, we have prioritize, purchase insurance, limit liability, carry out a quality assurance program, limit high-risk customers, control growth, name a risk management team. And for the financial risk control, we have avoiding, reducing, redistributing. And here we have the audit plan, where it has been devised to verify whether proper security mechanisms are in place and are functioning. So we have vulnerability scanning, report audit, security architecture audit, baseline auditing, internal control and workflow audit, policy audit, threats, risk assessment. And now I pass on to my friend Dhunnoo.
For the third part of the assignment, which we have to conduct an audit report on a real company. We will start off with the definition of IT audit. It is an examination and evaluation on an organization information technology, infrastructure, application, data use and management, rules, procedures, and operational processes against recognized standards or established policies. Web defines IT audit as the process of collecting and evaluating evidence to determine whether a computer system safeguard assets, maintain data integrity, allows organization goals to be achieved effectively, and uses resources efficiently. Following, we have the types and scope of IT audits. IT audits, as we have mentioned before, it is a process of collecting and evaluating evidence to determine whether a computer system safeguard assets, maintain data integrity in certain organization. The next one is financial audit. Its purpose is to determine the accuracy of an organization's financial statement. Next, we have compliance audit. It includes specific tests or control to check for adherence to specific regulation and standard. The last one, we have performance auditing. It is an independent, objective, and reliable examination of whether government undertaking system, operation, program, activities, or entities are running in accordance with principle of economic efficiency and effectiveness, or whether there is room for improvement.
Thank you, Ranjana. Information system auditing is the process of collecting and evaluating evidence to determine whether a computer system safeguards assets, maintain data integrity, allow organizational goals to be achieved effectively, and uses resources efficiently. The purpose of conducting an audit is to protect the company assets and evaluate risk by identifying and prioritizing risk through a systematic risk assessment. Secondly, to improve efficiency and effectiveness of operation by continuously monitoring and reviewing processes. Thirdly, to identify material misstatements, which include regular testing sample of transaction and balances to determine whether financial statements are properly prepared. Fourthly, it helps in assessing controls by improving the controls environment. And lastly, it ensures compliance with law and regulation. Moving on to the internal audit plan, a risk-based approach is used to prepare the internal audit plan, which includes assessment of areas of significant risk, renewal and approval of audit plan by the Risk Management Audit Committee of the company, reporting of audit finding, which describe the scope of the audit and the auditor's opinion, and lastly consists of a follow-up on implementation. I now pass on to Deesha.
Thank you, Teshavaani. The role of the information system auditor is to assess the IS for areas such as physical security, access, logging, system continuity, and also review risks. Some of the risks are inadequate information security, inefficient use of corporate resources or poor governance, ineffective IT strategies, policy and practices, and IT-related frauds. Steps involved in conducting information system audit. First step is previewing the environment. As we know, the company is responsible for the manufacture and sales of electronic products across the world. Sometimes there might be changes in the business environment, and the IS auditors is in charge of that. For that to happen, he must understand the product specification, the current system that are being used. He must meet the IT end users to get a complete picture, and also meet the audit committee as well. He must also assess their own technical knowledge to the system and enhance it if necessary. From the information above, the auditor will be able to understand the audit objective, define scope clearly, and gather necessary background information by interviewing the person concerned. Understanding the information system, the IS auditor should go through the system documentation, start with the input originating in the user department, and walk through the entire system to understand how it is going to be processed. Any hurdle faced should be straight away recorded. Then the auditor can make his short notes on the system functioning. Particular attention is given to the control aspect. And when you prepare a flowchart, it is much easier to understand the application system. Identifying the audit risk. It consists of two kinds, risk of loss and detection risk. So, in determining the level of substantive testing required, the IS auditor should consider both the assessment of inherent risk and the conclusion reached on control risk following the compliance testing. Because the higher the assessment of inherent and control risk, the more audit evidence the IS auditor will get. But the first task is to assess the risks that can have adverse outcome and assign higher priority to them. The most commonly risks are unreasonable processing and repetition of errors.
Thank you, Deesha. The next step is to identify audit evidence. Audit evidence applies to the data or information collected by auditors in doing their audit work. The types of audit evidence that were considered are physical evidence, which is the examination of tangible assets. In our case, computers and servers were verified to ensure they were in a place with smoke and water detectors, and documentary audit evidence. The method used to gather the evidence was an interview. An example can be shown in the table. Moving on, the key control points are identified based on the risk prioritization. Some of the main controls are policies. The goals and objectives must be defined. Standards. It is the methods of working to obtain objectives. Physical and environmental control. It ensures that the equipments are protected. System software controls to ensure a computer's internal functioning. Systems development and acquisition controls, and finally application controls to make sure that all data is accurate, complete, authorized, and correct. The next step is to identify control weaknesses. Some of the weaknesses are technical control weaknesses, which occur from changes made in technology or failures in software or hardware, operational control weaknesses, which result from human error, and administrative control weaknesses. If the integrity and feasibility of backups are not tested, it may be difficult to recover data. Some ways to identify the weaknesses are to classify the control procedures, to conduct risk assessment, to train and educate staff, and to conduct regular inspections. Now I will pass on to Teshavaani.
Thank you, Yaseerah. The remaining step when conducting the IS audit were as follows: verifying integrity of computer files. Verification of computer file is important as it maintains integrity of information encryption, user access control, version control, and backup. For example, when errors go unnoticed because of wrong input price during the MIS report, the lopsided costs are revealed and detected as the errors are manually corrected, but the system is still carrying the errors. Therefore, the auditor has to start with the user output that was corrected and come back to the computer files. It should also look out for correction directly made on the database without correcting the transaction file. Moving on to step 8, conduct audit test. Some types of testing methods used during audit are namely inquiry, observation, examination of inspection of evidence, re-performance, and computer-assisted audit technique. However, there is a possibility that controls do not detect a certain type of problem. The auditor must then calculate the correct result for the correct data and pass the same for the system, and then compare the result and draw a conclusion. And the last step is concluding the audit. The tasks involved are develop the finding highlighting facts against which standard the finding have been made and impact analysis, develop audit recommendation, write the audit reporting highlighting the above part 1 and 2, and finally conduct a meeting with the management representative and record the action point for the next audit review. I now pass on to Ranjana.
Performance of audit system in the Mitsubishi company. It is an independent examination of an element's task ordinary connected with government facts. So the objective is to assess the performance of the required project to decide their accuracy and make changes if necessary. And for measuring performance, so it guarantees evaluated expectations for audit system execution and reporting. And here, key benches of performance management are laid out as follows. Audit effectiveness in covering key regions, feedbacks of discovery during audit, time and practicality of the review audit, exactness of audit discoveries, worth of audit proposal, worth added by the internal audit function. And assessing performance, the initial phase in serving the internal audit work includes inspecting the management's assumptions and accomplishments. And here, the key findings from performance audit, we have planning for future, meeting community expectation for key services, the scale of investment in infrastructure, managing the environment and natural resources, ensuring good governance and transparency, responding to digital disruptions. And the recommendation on the Mitsubishi system security, we have to assess risk of each location within the company, choose enterprise grade technology, move to cloud-based system for management, access control for physical security, protect the company data, add visual insight with video surveillance, streamlined identity management for multi-site enterprise, and among else. And for the company Mitsubishi system security, we have access control and the associated security mechanism we have about such as biometrics, and we have security policies, non-repudiation, physical protection, system recovery, attack detection, boundary protection. It can be concluded that during the first part and the second part and the third part of our assignment, we have gained a lot of knowledge and we have been able to do our assignment correctly, and we were able to came up with an audit with some recommendations such as location within the Mitsubishi company, cloud-based system, control, physical security, and protect the company's Mitsubishi data amongst others. So thank you.